Top 5 mistakes to avoid while composing classical music. Number 3. Interested parties. Let's imagine this ideal state of things. You have discarded conventional fantasies, doubts, insecurities and prejudices about music as much as possible, and you have created a music composing system in which your activities and relationships with other people do not suffer. What is the next step? Personally, I assume you believe it is to find an expert and seek his help and mentorship. Contrary to expectations, this may be the reason why you will stop composing music, if not immediately, then over time. Why would that be, you wonder? Well, as always in life, the answer is a bit complicated. Let's try to simplify it. If we are addressing another composer or professor of music in college, or a music expert of any field, we need to know why we are doing it. If we are aware of the fact that we have discarded conventional fantasies, prejudices, and thoughts that can stop us before we truly start creating music, then we will, hopefully, also be able to recognize that same undesirable factors in the person we could consider a possible mentor. If we notice such impressions in our direction, we are free to ignore them. In particular, if the person you turn to for help regards music spreads doubt, insecurity and a sense of inadequacy in you, it is not a person who will have a positive impact on your musical development in the long run. Example, a flatterer and a critic to whom nothing is acceptable, both are of no use to you. But if someone tells you, this is good, correct this weaker section and it will be even better, and personally is happy to help you and spend time with you, that person can really be useful to you in the long run. An embarrassing fact, most people interested in classical music consider it a serious field overall, to leave understanding and education about it to themselves, and naively indulge in the care and teaching of professionals and institutions with their own lateral interests, including ones of financial and political nature. This is not a malicious description of institutions but a realistic one, because all human organizations throughout history had public, but also hidden interests. Moreover, every job and occupation is more and less like that, including those related to music. Regardless of the favorable or unfavorable outcome of such an educational process, with this choice the naive often deprive themselves of the responsibility of evaluating music in front of others, and see in experts the authorities without whom they would be lost. Again, healthy dose of skepticism can help us remember that music is not a scientific discipline, like physics and chemistry, nor is it a religion, so the authorities in it are not the same as in other fields. It is therefore not surprising that successful composers of the past came from environments where they helped each other, not by institutions, but by families. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's father is an example of family support for his son. The Bach family, from whom Johann Sebastian Bach, C.P.E. Bach and J.C. Bach is another example of family support. Alessandro Scarlatti and his son Domenico Scarlatti are the third example of family support and positive guidance. Of course, there are many more. Support should be long-term and well-intentioned, and this cannot always be expected from institutions, for various reasons already mentioned. You may think that some people can be envious or malicious, which is always a possibility, although it is unlikely that you will come across such people, but you should not ignore the human factor that can harm you as a composer. The next possibility: imagine living in time of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart and asking him to help instruct you in composing a Baroque-style composition. What would you expect from such an experiment? Would it fail or not? Personally, I believe it wouldn't, but a composer, even a beginner, should count on a human factor that can disappoint. By the same analogy, what do you think will happen if you turn to a contemporary music composer for help around creating a romantic song? Will the situation unfold favorably for you? Possibly, but perhaps not, especially if the composer of contemporary music is not a skilled composer of classical music. and by definition he is not and does not have a significant opus of classical music works behind him. Deeds, not words. The rational approach, which as a composer is immediately worth developing, should also be characterized by skepticism towards those we consider to be authorities, experts and specialists, because people don't have to be malicious to make others confused and distracted. Sometimes it is enough to be professionally oriented and employed. That is why a composer who has rejected prejudices and created a system of everyday composing should ask himself, does working with this person suit me or not? Do the goals and intentions of the two of us really match? Does it suit me that this composition, with the help of this individual, is completed and finalized by that date, and not later? It is important to have a deadline, even when you are a beginner. If you have it, you will easily notice if people care about helping you sincerely, or do not care about your progress but care for your financial support. You continuously provide them that suit their personal or group interests. So, as a composer, practice a rational approach and skepticism that are focused on a positive approach and active problem solving. The easiest way to better judge the people you turn to for help or support is to talk about the music you are interested in. It is easy to recognize a passion in a music lover and connoisseur, and even easier to recognize signs that someone is little or not at all interested in the practical pursuit of music.